Everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Luke Cage, episodes 7 through 9. Kim, Bibbs, Alonso. I'm just realizing now that I didn't write down the titles. Did anybody have?
We're episodes
here?
7 through 9.
Manifest, Blowing Up the Spot, and DWYCK, all Gangstar songs.
Woo,
Yay.
thank you. I did not know that, so I appreciate the intel.
This show has a lot of music I am familiar with, like the Delphonics show up in episode 9, which, by the way, if you can't pack the house for a Delphonics concert, you're doing something wrong with that club already. But also, I had never heard of, and this is me being ignorant, Jadena from like episode 5.
Hail to the Chief.
Hail to the Chief.
That was a good song.
Holy crap.
That's a really great song.
Oh my God. And every picture of him on the internet is like the sexiest thing you've ever seen. It's fantastic. So cool.
So it took me till episode 7 to notice that the sofa in Cottonmouth's office looks like a snake.
Oh.
I missed that entirely.
It has the way that the weave pattern resembles like scales.
That's cute.
So, you know,
That's
just a little nugget, throwing that out there. So, all right, so episode 7 is dead center because it's a 13-episode season. And so, of course, big shit goes down, namely Cottonmouth dies.
Cottonmouth dies, and after we get a lot of sympathy for Cottonmouth, we see his backstory.
Yes.
So he wanted to be a musician.
He has the soul of a musician, and
Yeah.
that's why he sucks at this crime thing. And he's so good at it because she kind of follows after Mama Mabel,
Yeah.
who's great at it.
Yeah, it's actually a really, really good backstory. And I think this show's doing an interesting thing where they make you sympathetic for the villains like right before it's too late. Like the episode they die.
Oh, the Scarf episode?
Yeah, Scarf and Cottonmouth, the same thing. If you start liking a villain, be careful because they're about to die.
It's like when they're about to vote you off of Project Runway. That's when you get the most footage devoted to like how swell you are and how you have these cheerful phone calls to your mom.
Yeah, or on RuPaul's Drag Race, where all of a sudden this guy gets a lot more screen time.
Bingo.
Yeah, there you go. Good times. But this is a really, really good episode. And honestly, the death of Cottonmouth, I mean, we kind of saw it coming. I don't know, I saw it coming a little bit with Mariah. No?
I didn't, but I did see Mariah moving in as being a thing that was coming up. I liked how this opened because we see that all of Luke's and all of Scarf's trouble was ultimately meaningless in the system the way it is now.
Yeah.
Is this the episode where Misty and her boss were talking about the system? Or?
Yeah. Well, that happens a lot. But yeah, I think this is where it really starts coming in, the idea that, yeah, we got Cottonmouth, and he's out. And it's weird because in a way we kind of dealt with this already in Daredevil a little bit, the idea that you can work within the system and it just doesn't matter.
The wealthy can buy themselves.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a little repetitious, I think, if you watch all the Netflix shows, but it's a lesson Luke Cage needed to learn in order to become the hero he needs to be, in order to deal with these people in a way that's more effective, I think. It's like, oh, yeah, give him to the cops. And that's kind of cool. He did the right thing first.
Right.
Like, as early as possible, he did exactly what he was supposed to do within society, within
And then
the
when
system.
that fails, you
Then
do
you
the
get to
next
punch
thing,
anybody you want.
There's also the issue, though, that they never really dwell on too much, which is there's always going to be a power vacuum. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
which they do in subsequent episodes. Obviously, Mariah addresses that and tries to figure out what the next thing's going to be. But I think superheroes never think about the fact that, like, oh, if I cut off the head, you know, the whole thing will die. It's like, no, if you cut off the head, then everybody fights to be the new head. You know,
There was a Batman story about that where Batman had like this contingency plan where, if necessary, Batman could take control over all of Gotham's crime just to sort of keep everything in line. And then one of his Robins, Stephanie Brown, ended up like going forward the plan, but there was one crime boss who wasn't there, and it was Matches Malone, because she didn't know Matches Malone was Bruce Wayne. Anyway, it was complicated. Suffice it to say, there was a crime vet. Whatever.
Okay, fine.
Crime power vacuum, it was a reference, whatever.
Thank you for that.
Someone on YouTube appreciated that.
Stories of Hercules and the Hydra.
There you
There you
go.
go.
There you go.
Oh, Hail Hydra.
Cut one off, another
Yeah,
will grow into place.
yeah.
One little footnote that I will throw in here for this episode because I had to look it up. When Mariah insults her rival councilman, uses the word Marini.
I had to look it up.
It's a neighborhood in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So, like, just to be clear that he's an outsider, that he's not a
I was
native
like,
Harlemite.
Is this a slur? I have to go look this up.
Yeah.
No, it's just a New Orleans.
Yeah.
I just missed the word. So
And she
I
keeps
just
talking
assumed
about
I
him as like the
misheard it.
Stanford guy or whatever. So it's all about him not being from there and
outsider,
of there.
elitist.
Yeah. I also liked when Luke is talking about how when that Cottonmouth has threatened to expose his past and to talk about his prison record, that he's going to out me. It's like, whoa, okay, queer language wins. We have entered into the vernacular now.
But I also like the issue that raised, that Cottonmouth is basically saying, do you have the moral authority to even call yourself a hero in this situation.
Sure, yeah.
And it's a valid question, and it's a valid question I think not a lot of superheroes focus on.
True.
You know, a lot of them start out so young that they seem like blank slates, but even like Spider-Man made one mistake.
Right.
And he's been a superhero out of guilt ever since.
Been paying for it the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good question. I'm glad the show raised it.
And in the era of Donald Trump, you know, I think you need to do your own Oppo research, obviously. You know, you've got to figure out what your own weak points are and address them first before somebody else does.
Topical.
Shades finally is useful in this episode.
Yes.
He's just been sort of around before.
He gets credited like 4th in the opening credits, and I'm like, why? And then finally he does something, which is, wasn't it terrible that Luke Cage did this? You know,
Yeah.
and
He-
finally becoming, did he have a plan in place to like out Cottonmouth? Because he was coming to odds with him, you know, scaring Luke away.
Well, I mean, the show is the whole thing of him going to see Mariah and talking about Mabel and stuff. They're setting up the premise that he's the devil on her shoulder, and that he goads her into killing him, and then he goads her into all the stuff that happens thereafter. So. Whether or not you buy that, whether or not you think she's maybe too smart for something like that, it's an interesting thing to do.
It's like he was a criminal tutor. You know, it's just like, you're good at this, but here's what you need.
He's a life coach.
Yeah, a life coach. He's a criminal life coach, which I like that. It's a fun premise.
And then, of course, this episode also introduces the Judas Bullet, or rather, it's been talked about, but now we see it in action.
We get what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, Luke Cage gets shot.
It drills and it explodes and it leaves shrapnel in it.
And
It's
it
nasty,
sucks.
nasty business, which leads us to episode 8. And
Where we meet Diamondback.
Diamondback, who is a lot.
don't
Diamondback
like
is,
him.
I don't care for him either, and it's a shame because Cottonmouth is so human, and even maybe he's not a great villain, like in terms of like powerful, whatever.
I just like him.
He's an interesting character,
Yeah.
and
He's
Diamondback,
plausible.
Diamondback is really Saturday morning cartoonish.
He's like Jesse Eisenberg in Batman v Superman. He's just unhinged
Let's
and
not say
running
things
amok.
we can't take back.
Okay, is that too much? Too hard? He's just
Own
this
it.
lunatic, and there needs to be that backstory earlier, or we need to see this justification earlier, because he just comes off as an unhinged, crazy person.
Yeah. No, it is. That's all he is. He has one plot point. He hates Luke Cage. And he likes quoting scripture and the warriors, but only once.
Right.
And that's kind of it. He's playing it to the back of the room.
Yeah.
And it's really just an uncomplicated, just sort of generic. And what could be kind of neat is if you took that idea, here is a guy who is laser focused, he's very uncomplicated, he's an obsessed, powerful criminal, I don't know, mastermind leader, whatever. And isn't that dangerous?
How the hell
You
did
could play with
someone
that.
so crazy rise to the top of this criminal organization?
Yeah.
I don't get
you
it. I
think
want to see that.
Anybody would have put him out, you know,
Yes.
would have smelled his crazy up from a mile away.
Yeah.
Now, when he says, now y'all are ahead of me because I've only seen through episode 9. When he says, "I am your brother," do we think he's
Literally
speaking-
brother.
Literally, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
literally brother, which is also really convenient.
Yeah.
Really, this guy that Cottonmouth has been
Fair.
talking about the whole time just happens to be Luke Cage's brother. I hate it when like sort of the surprise family relation is used, especially in like fantasy drama. Like Star Wars got away with it, but ever since then I've just been like, really? What are the odds they're your father? Come on.
I know New York's a small town, but come on.
Yeah, no, it's and they're not even from New York.
No,
Oh,
they're
that's
from
true.
Georgia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
then it's extra coincidental. Like it's really weird because it's not like because like Cottonmouth we find out, you know, not Cottonmouth, Diamondback we find out he's been like ruining Luke Cage's life for a long time, and he just happened to be operating in New York when Luke Cage moved there. He didn't follow Luke Cage there. He's just there.
Yeah,
He was already there,
setting down
yeah.
stakes.
Specifically Harlem, like of all the places in the world. I get it, it's a place to do it, but like, what are the odds?
It's a little convenient. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did like the big fight in the old movie palace. That was kind of cool.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was cool, but has anyone else noticed that a lot of like superhero fights seem to be taking their inspiration from video game boss battles?
I thought it was weird that all the lights were on in an abandoned theater.
That's-
and that it was perfectly clean and everything.
Well, I don't think it was it abandoned or was it just closed?
Oh.
You're
don't
supposed
know.
to leave some lights on in a theater.
But all of them?
All of them is a bit ridiculous. There was a janitorial staff we didn't see that just skedaddled. Yeah, I'm getting out of here. Not again. Not again. But yeah, so we've got like the bad guy like shooting weapons at Luke. He's got to dodge the attack and then break the column so that he falls out. So you can have the fist fight. Luke Cage can, like, and it's just like I saw that at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. was that whole, oh, we have to hit all of these pillars so that she can pull the switch at the end. And it's just, I wonder if anyone else is distracted by it. Does anyone else care?
I don't play enough video games, so I guess it's going over my head if that's the case.
It did feel familiar, and I just couldn't put my finger on why. And I think you may have just hit all the notes why.
And I think just people play a lot of video games and they just started incorporating that into their action storytelling. But I don't know. I
like Westworld because of the video game familiarity.
But they're actually playing with that, I think, as opposed to this. It's great.
Like it.
It's so great. Oh my god. This is just randomly creeping in. And then what do we got? What do we have? Okay.
Then episode 9, the interrogation room.
Why are they doing that in an interrogation room? They put a point on it. Like, why are we having this like psych eval?
The chief wants to watch.
That sounds.
The chief has like Misty
dirty,
under her thumb.
Right, but Misty at least knows exactly what's going on. You know.
I know. It's really arch for me. I was just like, it's fine, but it's good scene though.
Yeah, no, it's well written, it's well acted, as contrived as the scenario may be, but it's at least they're making good stuff out of it. Shade's flunkies are indeed dressed better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't remember who says this, but I wrote down severe damage was wrought. I'm like, no one says that.
An attorney, maybe.
Yeah.
I liked it in episode 8, by the way, just leading up. When Misty goes nuts on Claire, and it's like, I'm going to arrest you. It's not illegal to give someone an alibi if it's a real alibi.
Right. Yeah, like you're saying
just
that
sort of a stretch.
you're trying to make them an accomplice to a murder. Like, well, it's an alleged murder, or at least it's a murder that he allegedly committed. It's not like he's been tried and convicted already.
That was a good like showdown. Even I liked it a lot better than even some Cottonmouth Luke Cage scenes, or hero villain, as opposed to two supposed heroes or allies, and it worked really well. I think it was just to show Misty's losing it.
Misty is losing it.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm not entirely sure. I feel like Misty's plot is getting a little muddled towards the second half of this series because she's investigating Cottonmouth. Luke Cage is in the crosshairs. She has to investigate Luke Cage. Okay. We've kind of established that Cottonmouth is the bad guy, and yet we have to constantly go through all this red tape of everyone at the police station saying, yes, but we also have to be thorough and investigate Luke Cage. And I feel like the audience is past it, and I feel like we're kind of tired of her having to constantly investigate Luke Cage, and it doesn't feel like Deputy Gerard chasing the fugitive. It feels like she just keeps getting forced to do it for bureaucracy.
But deep down, she doesn't believe Luke is guilty, or at least that's the.
But he's being actively framed. I mean, they've paid off fake witnesses, and they've got all this stuff happening.
I guess it would make more sense to me if I felt that she knew he was innocent, maybe just deep in her heart of hearts, but then just had to do this because those are the rules. But I feel like she keeps trying to convince herself that he's a bad guy, and that I don't buy dramatically. And I think part of that's just because I know better, but part of it's just because I don't think it's very cleanly played out.
Well, she has to deal with the, you could lose your job over this night, and maybe the bureaucracy storyline isn't the thing that we all connect with. But it's there.
Because meanwhile, Mariah is getting to sort of flourish in her own evil, which is fun. The whole speech about of course, then I guess we just have to fake a home invasion and kill everyone who lives there. But I'd hate to do that because Duke Ellington used to live there, and I don't want to bring down the property values. And the whole thing. Cute. And my favorite line is, "You would use my personal tragedy for political gain. I've taught you well."
The other thing we haven't talked about is obviously Luke is injured.
Yes.
They had to take him to see his mad scientist doctor. A lot of superheroes end up in vats. Have you noticed this?
No, well, we talked about this.
Right, but it's just like, again, just twice. He's got to do it again.
I know, more deep frying.
Yeah, it's just got to deep fry Luke Cage, which I feel a little iffy about that.
And and the whole thing is, if the idea is to loosen up his cells enough to get the shrapnel out, shouldn't they be trying to get the shrapnel out while he's in the acid? Like, wouldn't you have some long tongs and try
and to dunk his whole body if that was the point?
Should he just do that one little bit?
His arms and legs can be out in his head.
Why was that entirely necessary? It feels like a bit of a stretch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I do like that he was made with CRISPR, which I think no one's talking about. I think that's really cool.
That's a real thing.
CRISPR is real and it's awesome and it could solve all of our problems, I hope. So it's kind of cool that Luke Cage is bringing it out. No one's talking about it, but it makes perfect sense. It's like, all that stuff in superhero stories where they change your DNA or whatever like that? We have that thing now. We can just call it what it is. We don't have to make up science anymore. It's really cool.
And I like the stop and frisk shout out in this episode as well, because
right.
it's interesting how that is bleeding into popular entertainment. They've done it this season on Empire. I've seen it on a couple of other shows, and it's like, yeah, well, let's acknowledge this is a thing. If you are a black guy in an urban area or driving or whatever, like the odds are very good that you're just going to get pulled over for no apparent reason at some point.
No, it's good. I'm glad Luke Cage is commenting.
Is
on
this
it.
also when Stryker runs around pretending to be Luke in the hoodie?
Was
no, I don't think so.
I think it got
Hasn't
there.
happened yet?
I think it's like episode
Never
10 or
mind.
something.
Oh,
La, 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 la,
missed
la,
that.
la, la.
All right. We're almost there. You'll get to it.
All right,
It's
so
fine.
four to
Yeah, it's
go.
episode 10.
Four to go. We will be back. I think next week we'll have this.
Hopefully
whole
on Monday we'll
shebang
wrap
done.
up the whole thing.
Yes, but anyway,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us this far. We'll be back with the rest.
No, that